with us for Dear learners, welcome to live teleconferencing session. In this session, we will discuss about the tools and techniques of policy evaluation. This topic is coming under the course of BPAC 106, Understanding Public Policy. This one is the one of the core courses of PA Public Administration Honors. This is Dr. A. Senthamizh Kanal, the Faculty of Public Administration. Before going into the topic, we should know about, as a student of public administration or general, we all know about that public policy means what the government choose to do and not to do. Okay, whether the success or failure of the government determined by their public policy only. Or you can say that public policy in the sense laws, rules, regulations and guidelines or whatever you can name it, you can say that also it comes under the public policy only. And you can say in another way, public policy is a solution, okay, solution to the particular problem. So that way, when you are making a public policy, there are various phases are there. Before making public policy, you should know what are the underlying problems are there. Okay, so what are the underlying problems are there? Once you have once you have found out the problem, and after that you have to find out what are the various alternative or policy choice. Like for example, once you have underlined or once you have finalized the problem, then automatically what will you do? That you have to find out the various solutions. In that solution, you should find out what are the alternative, or you can say that what is the policy choice. Then once you have determined the alternative, then you have to find out what are the various forecasting, or you can say that what are the various evaluating alternatives. In that various alternative, you have to make one choice. Once you have find out the choice, then you have to implement the public policy. Once you done the implementation, what is there, then you have to monitor whether it is properly managed or not, or whether it has implemented or not, whether it has reached to the concerned sections or not. Then once you have done a monitoring, then after that it is to be a policy outcome. Once the outcome has come, then it is the evaluation, that is policy evaluation. So in this topic, like when you are doing the evaluation, you need a various tools and techniques are there. Then how it how it reach to the people or reach to the target audience, whether it reach to the industry properly, whether it is the concern section properly. So for that, evaluation is more important one. Normally, policy evaluations, as I mentioned, that policy evaluations follows monitoring of implementation of policy programs. Once you have implemented, once you have done a monitoring, after that it used to follow the evaluation. Normally, it used to be a final stage in the policy process. Okay, it is not in the first or second, it is in the final stage, though it is an ongoing activity in the entire proactivity. It's not like that. Sometimes you maybe think that public policy, once you have done a that to find out the alternate choices, then you can do that. It is a that it's an ongoing activity only. So evaluation is that with what happens once a policy has been put into the effect. Okay, it is like once evaluation is concerned with what happens when the once the policy has been put into the effect. For example, put into the you can say that national agriculture policy, national education policy, national health policy, or any, like for example, if you taken it to any program uh, like for example, various rural development programs are there, poverty alleviation programs are there. So once they have done that program, you have to be know that whether it has made any effect or not, like whether you have to bring here, make it out too. Like for example, you can't find the immediate effect of national education policy, you can't find the immediate effect of national health policy, you can't provide immediate effect of agriculture policy, but you can make an immediate effect of some of the various that rural development program or poverty alleviation programs are there. So that way evaluation is the one of the important component in the policy process. Yes, like sometimes what will happen, it used to have a little bit attention towards the policy makers, because the policy maker, what they will do is that they give more importance to, it's a general. Normally they used to give more importance to make the policy and how to provide the resources and the implementation stage. Most of the time what happens, they give a little bit, that they give not little bit, they give not much give attention to the policy makers. Most of the time they used to give a interest to the policy process only that during the implementation or evaluation phase, that we can learn whether the policymaker designed and intended or not. Okay, on the implementation and the evaluation part, we can understand that whether the policy has properly intended, whether they properly designed or not. Most probably it has been observed that evaluation is the critical to determining the fact that programs meet their expectation. So another one also, that whether it is a fact that whether it met the expectation, because that is a more important one. Because once, as I already mentioned, that when you are making the policy, it's it's not like that you have to make without any, you have to make a policy with any demand. So once you have done, after that evaluation or monitoring, you have to check whether that programs has been met their expectation. So it used to happen after the reviewing of the objectives, which judge the merit of the public policy. And after that you have to do the view of the follow-up experience, so we can understand the impact of public policy, whether it has reached to the target audience or target groups or target people to design to the address also. Normally Gersten 2009, he has pointed out that evaluation normally provides the ammunition for future changes and the policy refinement. Like for example, you can't whenever you introduce a policy, it won't be perfect. You may, when you have introduced, then only you feel a lot of problem used to be there, a lot of concerns used to be there, lot of grievances used to be there. So that time you have to make the changes certainly. So that when the period of there, so that time it used to ignite the issues. Then after that there was a lot of, you can say that incrementalism. There was a lot of changes used to happen. Like for example, when that Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme has introduced, first they have given a money to directly to the people, then after that directly put the account to the people, then after that the changes of they have monitoring the the attendance and all. So various things are there. So these things happened during the evaluation party only. So but mostly, like when you are doing the evaluation, you need a lot of proper, proper tools and techniques also more important. Okay, because without that it won't provide the desired outcome, because sometimes you need to you need to quantify, sometimes you need to qualify the that qualitative you have to data get. So we need a proper data also. So normally that evaluation used to raise three questions. One is that the extent to which a program is reaching the appropriate target population. Okay, that like that to the extent whether the program the government introduced by is it has reached the appropriate target population or not, whether the delivery of services is consistent with the program design specification, and what are the resources are being have been expanded to conduct the program. So these are the basic questions used to be there. First thing is that as I mentioned that whether in the evaluation part we used to design whether it has reached to the targeted population or not, and mostly delivery of services is whether it is concerns consistent with the program specific objectives, and what are the resources have been being used or expended to conduct of the programs and all. So in that these are the basic about the evaluation. Now we are going to see about the meaning and purpose of evaluation. So policy evaluation is like in 1970 Holy quoted that policy evaluation is the assessment of overall effectiveness of a national program in meeting its objectives, or assessment of the relative effectiveness of two or programs in meeting common objectives. Okay, it is a kind of a overall effectiveness of a national program whether it's meeting its objectives or not. And Thomas Dye has mentioned that systematic evaluation means to careful about objective scientific assessment of the current and long-term policies are both target and non-target situation or groups, as well as an assessment of the ratio of current long-term cost to whatever benefits are identified. Thomas Dye, what he says that you have to assess the short-term and long-term policy. Short-term, long-term policy means some problem is that it is a time specific projects are there, like for example employment oriented program or poverty reduction, or like for example providing services to the people. These are short term oriented only. Like for example if you have education policy, health policy, it will take long time. That education policy it will take 5 to 6 or sometime 5 to 10 years or 5 to 15 years, or the same way health also. So it will take more time, that more time to I won't say that it is a more time, we can say that it's a long term effects of the policy. So we have to do the scientific assessment in a careful manner. In a sense, normally based on the definition we can say that evaluation helps us to understand the impact of the policy on the political and the socio-economic system of the country. By examining the various tools and techniques of policy evaluation on the targeted people or system, we get to know whether the policy has been continued or amended or possibly scrap the policy altogether. Okay, like for example you can know that whenever the government create a policy, it used to make sometime it used to make people used to make raise these that they used to protest against the policy, and sometime if the government used to sometime sometime listen to them and they used to make the changes, sometimes they used to keep suspended the policy, sometimes they used to scrap the policy also. But in come to policy evaluation, based upon the evaluation you can say that whether we can continue or amend or problem or scrap the public policy also. So the main objective of policy evaluation is to reduce the problem in the phase of policy delivery, because when you are doing the that for example you can say that India, that it is a length and breadth, it is we have a very large country. Okay, one policy is suitable for the plain region, another policy is not suitable for the hill region. Like for example the same weather, like in the northern part that people are suffering the cold, and the southern part they are having a different weather pattern. So the one that one thing is not suitable for everyone. Okay, so based upon that we have to see whether it has been reached to the correct or not. So mostly public policy, that it used to be in that for the three purposes only, whether that public policy has worked as intended, that is that efficiency assessment. And the second one is that whether the cause the consequences of public policy, that is the impact assessment. And the third one is determine whether to continue, amend or scrap the public policy, that is the future action policy. Like for example, first one is that is assess whether public policy has worked as intended. Okay, like for example, you can say that now lot of policies has come, like the, skill education providing, and the new education policy, the new agriculture policy, and the new IT policy. So first we have to find out whether it has worked as intended, because when you are doing writing, you can write anything. Like for example, you can, because mostly we used to get the guidelines from various situation, and based upon the data we used to write a lot within a lot of ambitious manner. But when it comes to the, that when it comes to the field, but it won't work as we have intended. So that we have to find out whether it has been reached, worked or not. It is called the efficiency assessment. And another one is the consequences of public policy. You have to make the impact assessment, whether it has made any impact or not. And third one is you have to determine whether to continue, amend or scrap the public policy also. Mostly if you see, based upon that evaluation, what to do is it is to perform several functions in the policy analysis. Like in the first place, that to provide the reliable information about the policy performance. So where do you get the information about the implemented policy? You would get the information that is reliable information about policy performance. We used to get it from the evaluation pattern only. So the prime purpose of evaluation is to measure the impact of policies on the society. Okay, because normally there is a two policies, like policy is a common word. When you add the word prefix, that is a public, mostly it used to be based upon the welfare oriented, or it is used to work for the people, it is the society only. So but the public policy, that evaluation used to be there, that whether it used to measure the impact on the policy on the society, and also it reveals the extent to which particular goals have been achieved. Okay, for example, increase in the life expectancy at birth. Okay, it helps us to understand the policy issues have been addressed. Okay, like for example, MMR data, there are various things are there, Anganwadi, and there are various health schemes are there. So the based upon the evaluation studies, the policy maker would understand that. Another one is that secondly, it is a tool. Okay, it is a main purpose is to appraise the operation of the policy program and provide feedback those involved in the stages of the policy cycle. Like feedback is more important. Without feedback, it won't be proper, because we doesn't know how to because when you are working, mostly we used to work from the top down budget, top down planning only. When you are top down planning, you should know about the field. In the field, what happened, whether it has reached to the beneficiary. Instead of reach to the beneficiary, whether it was useful to the beneficiary or not. So it is that based upon the evaluation, we can understand appraise the operation of the public policy program. And then evaluation also clarify the values and the selection of goals and objectives. Okay, it used to make whether the objectives or goals are clear or not. And another one is that evaluation may result in restructure the policy problems. Okay, restructuring is more important. When you, like for example, for sometimes central government used to provide the guidelines, but the state used to restructure based upon their own. So likewise, restructure is more important. At a one time, you can't make it a perfect policy. So, but how to restructure is based upon the re-evaluation only. It may also contribute the new objectives and kind of potential solutions. Okay, and problem is it used to provide a lot of solution also. For example, whether we have adopted the policy alternative should be replaced with another one or abandoned. as I already mentioned that you can take it the MGNREG, that initially they have given the money to the people, then they have into the direct benefit transfer. Earlier subsidy used to directly giving to the people, not only MGNREG. Like for example, if you go to the gas, most of now they are providing through the DPT, that is direct benefit transfer. So these things happen based upon the evaluation only. It was a proper alternative, that was it implemented. If it is a not proper implemented, it must be abandoned also. In the course of implementation, the policy action also may be whether restructured to the new conditions or terminated altogether. Okay, whether you have to restructure or the altogether, because of the policy action has to be more problems than to be resolved. And fourthly, often policy evaluation is that undertaken policy makers, then advisory groups that are pressurizing government agency and the department for some accountability. Like these also used to be there some kind of a nepotism. And also for Dye, he said that evaluation is learning about the consequences of public policy. This is a simple thing. Okay, if you want to say simple manner, learning about the consequences of the policy, public policy, if we can know that through this activity, and policy makers determine the future plans and actions also. An important function of ongoing evaluation is we have to feed pertinent information back into the implementation process in order to adjust, correct, or redirect the implementation process. Sometimes we do not evaluate public policy because evaluation involves much time and it used to need a huge process of financial and personal. But all the time, public policy evaluation is more important. It reveals the extent of achievement of goals on public policy. Like for example, evaluation, it doesn't mean that it's not like that evaluation you can do it, you go to the field and evaluate. You need a proper human resources, you need a proper financial resources, you need a proper environment, and you need a proper organizational adaptability, so that you will get the reliable information from the field also. And it's not like that you need a proper time and you need to organize the data, and there are various things used to be involved that. So it reveals the extent of achievement of goals of specific public policy. And another thing is that when you are doing the policy evaluation, you need a proper framework. Hypothetically, it involves various steps are there. One is that first you have to identifying the purposes of evaluation. Another one is that identifying areas of evaluation and choosing evaluation methodology and analyzing the result and reporting evaluation result. For example, identifying purpose of evaluation. So it's not like that once you have implemented and you have a that you have a implementation to human resources, then you can go to the field or the beneficiary, you will get the data about that. It's not like that. First you have to identify the purposes of evaluation, why you want to go there and why you need to evaluate and what is the purpose. And once you have done a purpose, then you have to find out the identifying areas for evaluation. What are the areas we have to evaluate immediately? Okay, as you all know that every budget, before the budget, they used to provide the economic survey. Okay, how they used it. It's a kind of a correct. It's a kind of a input they used to provide to the people. It's a kind of a mini things also. And another, the same way, identifying area of evaluation is more important. Which area you have to give more importance to them also. And another thing is that they used to sometimes used to get a choosing a evaluation methodology. Okay, that is more important. Sometimes you can quantify the data, and sometimes you have to get the quality data, and sometimes you have to take the telephonic interview, and sometimes you can get to the third party interview, and sometimes you have to the third party assessment. So there are various methods of methodology also there. That is also more important to do the proper evaluation framework. And once you receive the data, then fourth one is that analyzing the result. You have to analyze the result. So analyze the result in the sense you have to match up with the objectives and the research questions, or you can say that evaluation purposes, or whether it is identifying area has reached or not. Like for example, you can take that whether that if government adolescent program had reached to the adolescent girls, and if not reached, what are the problem, why it is not reached, and if it has reached to the people, then how we can enhance the program. So likewise, various things are there. This would be the analyzing the result. Then it would be reporting the evaluation result. So once you have done the analysis, then you have to report to the evaluation result. So based upon the evaluation result, it will go to the policy maker. That policy maker, what they will do is that whether if the suggestion is in a proper, they will used to add it. The suggestion is not done good, then they will do, they re-look into that. And if the suggestion, based upon the suggestion, sometimes they used to suspend the program also. So this was the important policy evaluation framework. So far we have seen about the meaning and the nature of the policy evaluation and the various definitions of a policy evaluation, and how the policy cycles of the various policy cycles also. So after the short break, we will discuss about the tools and techniques of the what are the various tools and techniques of the policy evaluation and all.
Are you interested in television journalism or radio journalism or online journalism? Or do you want to learn with the flexibility of open learning? Or if you are a working professional, wants to enhance your knowledge and skill with certification in the field of electronic media, then School of Journalism and New Media Study IGNOU offers PG Diploma in Electronic Media for you. This program includes audio and audio-visual program production for radio, television and online platforms. Here are some important details about the program. We have total 8 courses of 32 credits, 6 theory courses, 1 practical and 1 project. Eligibility: bachelor's degree in any subject. Minimum duration 1 year, maximum 3 years. Medium is English, but students can write their examinations, assignments, practical and project in Hindi also. So if you are interested in television, radio or online media, please come and join IGNOU's PG Diploma in Electronic Media.
Dear learners, welcome back. So far we have seen about the meaning, nature of the evaluation. Now we are going to see about the tools and techniques of the policy evaluation. When it comes to policy evaluation, there is 2 aspects of there. One is that the evaluation of the policy and its effect on the target population. That is evaluating the policy program. And another one is that the evaluation of personnel charged, that charged with implementation of the policy program. That is evaluating personnel. Okay, two things are there. First, you have to you just see the whether the policy has reached to the public. That is called evaluating public policy program. Another one is the evaluating personnel. When it comes to evaluation in public policy, also involves it used to, you can say that appraisal and assessment or performance of the people in the public sector at both state level at the managerial level. Also, this is also implemented. And when you are implementing a policy program, there are two questions need to be asked. One is that how a policy can be measured against the goal it sets out for achievement. This is called the formative evaluation. Okay, how a policy can be measured against the goals it sets out for the achievement. And another one is the actual impact of the public policy. Sorry, actual impact of the policy. This is called the summative evaluation. Okay, summative evaluation towards the end. Like for example, first question, how a policy can be measured against the goal it sets out for its achievement. Okay, like for example, there are various tools and techniques also available. Those like as I already said that you can take that national health policy. Like for example, if you are introducing a new hospital, or you may know about the impact that after a few years only, whether that formative or implementation evaluation, that evaluation, so which is done based on that after the implementation also. On the other hand, you can say that summative evaluation seeks to measure how the policy program has been impacted upon the problems to which it is to be addressed. That is called the summative, like whether how the policy or program have actually impacted upon the problems to which it is addressed. So here it is we are going to discuss about the 5 techniques which used to be as they measure the measurement of the public policy or goal performance. And one is that cost benefit analysis. Okay, another one is the performance measurement as an technique, and third one is experimental evaluation, and fourth one is quantitative, and fifth one is the qualitative techniques. So these are the 5 techniques normally using to evaluate the any public policy. In this one, first one is we are going to see about the cost benefit analysis. The cost benefit analysis, the name itself, you can know that how much you have spent, how much benefit you have received. Okay, you can say it is called the cost benefit analysis, or you can say that it is a benefit cost analysis. Okay, we can use it in the interchangeably. Most of the time these kind of a technique used in the public sector. The use of techniques and methods to measure the relationships of cost to benefits and the efficiency and the effectiveness of program has an obvious application to the evaluation phase during the public policy process. The cost benefits analysis technique suggests that all factors in a decision policy should be quantified so as to provide a more rational basis for the policy making. Like for example, here as you know that the word itself, cost benefit analysis. So how much you spend, how much you have benefited. Mostly it used to mention about the quantifying. How many people, how much have they implemented, how many people has been, that improved, how many people has not reached. So it used to provide the, overall numbers only. Okay. So mostly it used to quantify it only, because the attractiveness of that cost benefit analysis tool is obvious in the sense that it provides a natural technique for identifying cost and benefit of the policy programs. Mostly each and every technique has a criticism also. Some critics used to say that CBA approach, that is cost benefit analysis approach, have argued that quantification is the simply politics dressed up its techniques in terms of nonsense and stills. At the same time, there is little attribution, or you can say contribution of CBA has been profound. It has challenged the policy evaluator to look at the long-term efforts and articulate its the quantitative as well as the qualitative aspects of the programs or service. Like for example, here I want to make a small. Like in the quantification, they used to provide the numbers. 95 people, 50 to 60% of the people received the benefit. It is to be quantifying that. In the qualitative, you have to provide why that 40% of the people has not received that benefit, and how come that 53% of the people received the benefit. So you have to interpret upon the based upon the data. That is called the qualitative only. So based upon that only there, but mostly critics used to say that it used to show the, or it used to dress up the, or it used to show the fashion of the data based upon the field and all. And another one is the performance measurement technique. Performance measurement technique, that information gathered at the implementation, sometime maybe it used to be used at the correct or control the public policy delivery process more effectively. It make the form of management information system. Okay, management information system means it facilitate the collection of information, and that can also used in the decision making or managerial policy. In the MIS approach to the evaluation, the performance measurement is as a technique. It's mostly in this technique, figures are more imminent at important place. Among other features, performance measure at the, it's a ratio of inputs or the surveys, where this is not apt to performance measures and how efficient the given resources has been, or how much should have been achieved, and you can say how much has been really actually achieved. So measures of the performance can provide effective substitute for profits so as to improve, for example, functioning of schools and hospitals and local government and other services. The same way, performance indicators also there. Performance indicator in the sense, it's a means of assisting responsible management to make efficient decisions. They are not, however, a mechanical substitute for a good judgment, or you can say political wisdom or leadership. Okay, but this technique is a contender that it improves the personal management, integrates progress towards goals, and identifies the problem areas. Okay, like for example, evaluation in the sense, you should not look, for example, you should not focus upon when the goals or targeted programs have been achieved or not. You have to see whether the personnel, whether the people has been properly trained or properly qualified or properly motivated. So for these things, performance measurement technique used to is one of the best technique. And another one is the experimental evaluation. The experimental evaluation is one could that it is a best opportunity. Okay, best opportunity to gauge the impact of public policies. It undertaking impact evaluation in a post implementation phase. Evaluation seeks at the estimate of the net and the gross effects of intervention. It is a kind of a comparative mode of inquiry, comparing before and after intervention. Okay, in this method, one could compare the impact of intervention on one group and the another group, and also it provide a particular policy has had this kind of an impact. So in the policy cycle, there was, as I mentioned, that there is a two kind of evaluation. One is the summative and another one is the impact evaluation. The summative evaluation is done at the post-implementation stage of the policy. In the words, experiment seeks to study a problem before and after intervention. In the experimenting society, the focus should be on the problems rather than the advocacy of the solutions. Thomas Dye has said that the experimenting society is response to the limited resources facing policymakers and public, and way of addressing the problem of inquiry in access to power. And also he also says that makes a strong case for experimentation when he comments it is exceedingly costly for society to commit itself large scale program and policies in education, welfare, housing, health, and also without really idea about what really it works. And also this was the experimental evaluation. And another one is the qualitative and the quantifying technique. Mostly of the time, evaluation tell us about the performance of public policy. Okay, performance of public policy, it used to be related to the many factor, whether the government is successful, whether the government is failure, whether it is the government is popular or not. Mostly it depends upon the performance of the public policy only. So mostly, and another thing also there, whether the goals are met or not. For good result, evaluation should involve variety of techniques and opportunity. In that, quantitative as well as qualitative techniques are used for the evaluating public policy in a performance also. In a quantitative measurement, it involves evaluation measures. It used to generate a data in a standard framework of predetermined responses and the analysis category. On the other hand, if you come into the qualitative measures, it's asked to avoid to limiting the observation which can be made about the policy performance. Qualitative measures permit the management team to record and understand people reaction to the program in their own terms and contrast in terms of quantitative research methodology and all. There are three kind of qualitative measurements are there. Excuse me. One is that detailed descriptions of observed situation. Okay, detailed description of the observed situation and the direct quotation from the people explain their own experience and outcomes, and the another one is the expert from the documents, records and the case history. Why it is qualitative measurement is more important like that? You will get the detailed description instead of that 59% of the people received the benefit. How they have received it, whether are they happy or not. You will get it through the direct quotations from the people and from their explaining their experience, and they used to say about the program outcomes also, and many of the time you can take it from the published documents like for example newspapers, annual report and various records also there. When it comes to quantitative evaluation measures, the terms of intention set out the policy design. Quantitative measures are systematic and it used to be standardized, easily presented in a short piece. Okay, when you are going for a quantitative, you will get a proper tabulated form. On the other hand, qualitative measures are longer. It used to be more detailed, varied in content. By contrast, quantitative measurements inject an element of artificiality in the evaluation situation. But in the qualitative techniques are valid and feasible alternative, more quantitative technique. Further, you can say that many problems of artificially, that program evaluation can be spread through the qualitative techniques. You can say that no policy can be well crafted, can be immune to such evaluation. So the public policymaker cannot fully anticipate the consequences of the policy initiative and another one is that evaluation of the personnel. That is, you can say that performance appraisal of personnel. Like for example, if you are working in any government office or any private office, you must know the word about the performance appraisal of the personnel. In that, mostly people who work in the public sector and both the state and the managerial level, it is at the core. Evaluation of people is the belief that more control through the performance evaluation of personnel can ensure better outcomes of the policy evaluation. It may be carried out the delivering the program at the private agencies outside the government, the communication media, the researcher in private and public institutions, organized interest and commissions and public interest organizations. So all make evaluations of programs and policy that make greater or lesser impact on the public policy officials and also. And another thing is that so far we have seen about the various techniques, that is cost benefit analysis, quantitative qualitative techniques, evaluation, experimenting evaluation. These are the techniques are there. Now I am going to discuss about the various forms of policy evaluation. Okay, various forms of policy evaluation in the sense like it's like if you want to get the evaluating job done professionally, like rural development department has been implemented some program, you can't ask the same rural development people itself to evaluate. Okay, that would affect the conflict of interest. So what they do is that they used to do professionally decision maker, they used to call for the special agencies or individuals with the experience in the area under review. Okay, they used to call these special agencies or individuals with experience in the area under review. Often these peoples are like, for example, economists, statistician, and sometimes accountants who have a particular skills about the evaluate the policy program. A big, that major advantage of evaluation by the specialized staff is that they do not have a vested interest in the continuation of any given program. Okay, they doesn't have any vested interest if you involve in the third party or any special agency. However, sometimes what will happen is that there was some kind of operating staff and the evaluator having a unpredictable. Okay, like for example, evaluator always used to say that we have done it very effectively and we have did it, we have did provide proper justice to the program. But if you come into the evaluators, what they used to have, they used to have a fight with the, it's not a fight, it is a kind of a, controversial, it kind of a, some kind of a tension used to happen between the operating staff and the evaluator. And sometimes whether questions may arise whether it is a proper in an organization is wholly responsible for that or not. That for that, Wildowski said that no matter how good its internal analysis or how persuasively an organization justifies its program itself, there is something unsatisfactory about it, allowing it to judge its own case. Okay, that is true. Whether whether you can do it any good analysis with your internal people, and your organization can justify its program itself, there is something unsatisfactory about allowing it to judge its own case. For example, if the program is implemented 99% well, you should know about what about the 1%. Okay, if you really know about the 1%, then you can make a changes or something. It will always, feedback is more important that only. We are not working for a public policy, is not working for any group of only particular people. This is working for the country, it is working for the society, it's working for the community. So the goals of independent evaluation studies would be find out whether the impact of various organizations are significantly different from the other or not. And another one is that evaluation by the operating staff. Operating staff, in the sense, it used to be conducted by the internal evaluation. Most government agencies make efforts to review the policy program by their own staff, because those delivering the program has an important implication. The big advantage is that insider have a little problem regarding access to the information. He has the detailed knowledge of just what is involved. And secondly, you can say that the possible classes of interest between operating staff and the policy maker would be minimal because of the due to internal evaluation. So in this form of evaluation, it requires a well established internal reporting system which permits the continuous generation of problem related information. That internal people also, they have to do objectively. When they do objectively, without any without any taken decision, if they conduct in a very neutral form, it will be created give a many information. However, those are insiders. Sometimes what used to have, they have a lack of request skill to carry out the evaluation and their work. Another disadvantage is that the operating staff is that may fail to obtain fully rounded evaluation result in case in the policy delivery. Here the question is, I used to arrive whether it is proper an organization to be wholly responsible for own evaluation, because the goal of independent evaluation study would be find out whether the impact of various programs are significantly different from one another. If it's so, what particular actions or unforeseen events might make an involved also. And another one is that evaluation by legislative committees. Evaluation takes place, that it used to take place every part of the government, every level of the government. Like much of the evaluation lacks objectivity. That is the biggest problem. So to seek better information, the parliament gives authority to policy to appoint its own committee to access, or you can say that assess the worth of a success or failure of the policy. Parliamentary evaluation may be exercised through the number of techniques are there, including committees, that committee hearing, investigation, and the case work. In India, we have three committees are there. One is that the Public Accounts Committee, the Estimate Committee, and the Committee on Public Undertakings. So this select committee attached to the parliament, they used to conduct evaluation of public policy. Like for example, even that agency also used to conduct a separate evaluation. Along with that, apart from that, the parliament also used to conduct used to evaluate the public policy. For that, we have a three committee, that is like Public Accounts Committee, Estimate Committee, and the Committee on Public Undertakings. So these reports of the Public Accounts Committee, for example, they used to make the imperceptible impact on the union executive by making later agree performance review, institute inquiries, like in cases of any frauds, financial irregularities, investigated the leakages of revenue, and streamlining the advantage body. So whereas various measures used to be happened by that only. And another important one is that evaluation of office of the Controller Audit General. The Controller Auditor General, they used to call the CAG. It is the one of the constitutional body which is regarded as an arm of the parliament, and the state legislator, they have a broad statutory authority to ensure accountability of the executive to parliament or the state legislature. It used to assist the legislatures, in the office of the CAG become increasingly concerned with comprehend review and appraisal of scheme with systems audits to ensure for the money. The parliament has been passed. There is one act, Controller General Duties, Powers, Conditions, Services Act 1971 has also increased authorities responsibility at also. So based on that, mostly that CAG used to conduct a review. Based upon the review, they used to submit the report to the parliament. You may know that they have brought up the various scams and mismanagement of the fund. If you look onto the various perspective, like if you come into that policy evaluations, problems and remedial measures, like when you are doing the policy evaluation, there always used to be a problems also there. One is that confusing policy goals. Policy evaluation appears to be simple, okay, but the job is really very simple, and what it looks like also. But it is one of the difficult exercise, and it is to be very difficult to it involves the specifying the goal of the program, measuring the degree of the goals were achieved, whether it has been suggested that things has been might improve or not. So many things are also there. When it comes to the first one, confusing policy goals, majorly it used to compare the outcomes with the desired policy goals and objectives. Okay, it used to compare that whether we have the intent or desired policy goals and objective. Mostly if you take into the policy goals, it used to drawn from our constitution, United Nations objectives and principles, and the policy agenda of the political party in power. So theoretically, if you look into that, most of the policy, that it looks fine, it looks attractive, but when they translated into the policy statement, there was a lot of confusion used to creep sitting. Though the policymaker cannot fully anticipate the effect and the consequences of the policy initiative. Okay. On the other hand, you can say that policy goals are unclear and it's not an unmeasurable form. So officials such as legislature, administrator, and different positions in the policy system may define a goal in a program differently. But when it comes to the conclusion of the accomplishment of the policy or program, which are to be variance used to be there. Despite, like for example, there is a theoretical and the practical components are entirely different. Okay, when the goals are clear, but that are the not practical. Okay, for example, in our constitution, the preamble of the Indian constitution, number of goals of the government, but very few express the concrete language that would enable evaluator to verify the goals are being achieved or not. Another problem is that unreliable criteria for measurement. Systematically, we have defined our goals, objectives, and selection criteria, but we cannot account all of them. Okay, we need sometimes these kind of criteria are not reliable. Also in the public sector, the measuring result is still more difficult. It is tough to measure the performance the public sector program with any absence of any judging the performance. For example, short term goal, like for example, when it comes to education sector, short term goal is to improve the reading and writing, but the long run, it used to improve the effective quality of life. So it used to be there that unreliable criteria. Another one is the problems of methodology and statistics used to be there. Most of the time statistics are not relevant, and most of the time it's not valid also, even when the facts are nearly neatly organized for evaluation. But the evaluator must be careful about the conclusion they draw. For example, if you are evaluate the effectiveness of health program, the poorer section of the community, we may find it difficult to isolate the effect of the health program from those nutrition program or the educational program also. So all these problems indicate the measurement in the policy analysis. It is one of the toughest exercises. And another one is the little effect on target population. Mostly data necessarily that evaluate the policy program sometimes may not be true or sometimes misleading also. The information gathered in the course of delivery policy may highlight about the characteristics of people actually receiving the benefit, but little regarding the target population also. And another one is that another problem is that political influences and the biases. When it comes to the elected officials, ministers, sometimes they express the favorite policy and then wanted to evaluate their own language. It has been pointed out in the various studies also. It is ironical that how political leaders in competition focus on different facts in the same data set. So to this extent, the evaluators would need to be more careful to the predetermined favorites. It is because of their conclusions are very important to policymaker, administrator, and also. So towards the end in this lecture, we have seen about the meaning, nature, scope about the policy evaluation, various frameworks of policy evaluation, and the functions of policy evaluation, tools and techniques of policy evaluation, and lastly various forms of policy evaluation, and what are the problems and consequences of the policy evaluation. So based upon the discussion, we can understand that policy used to be whether public policy brought changes or not, whether it used to be an outcome. It is a opportunity to assess the outcome, and it used to be compare the objectives with the performance, and it used to help the policymaker understand to extent whether the policies are succeeded or failed. These are the important about the policy evaluation. So thank you a lot for listening. Thank you.